Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Life After DACA. Also, the V-Team takes a look at the $1 Million Club. And everyone's endorsing Roy Moore.
You gotta be sincere. You gotta be sincere. You gotta feel it here, 'cause if you feel it here, well then you're gonna be honestly sincere.
No wonder. Rockin Roy, he's got it going on. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Children.
Well, Susan, looks like we're what?
Gonna be a liberal show today.
I was getting ready to say.
Better prepare yourselves.
Yeah, it's clowns to the left of me and jokers on the left of me, too.
Prepare yourselves for lots of facts today.
Josh
Y'all
took
don't
my
like that.
seat. I'm irritated.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah, you got the whole Jack mentality today.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
wearing the part. Well, I didn't wear my glasses, though.
Jack is on vacation.
He
He's
is.
down at the coast, and he's having a good time. Let's get to the news. This week, we reported something that we did not previously know about the Mike Hubbard case, was that Bentley actually entertained the fact of getting rid of Matt Hart and bringing in a special prosecutor. This was something that Hubbard had asked for. I think the Riley people had asked for, his lawyers had asked for, including Jimmy Rain, a businessman, had asked him. And Josh, I mean, the fact that this short list included Steve Marshall, who is now the Attorney General, I think it may say something about Bentley's thinking bringing Marshall in.
Yeah, and I think it says something about Steve Marshall and the way some people kind of thought of him as maybe being quite a bit softer than Matt Hart. If you just look at the list of people who were wanting Steve Marshall to come in, I think you have an idea of that they believe this guy's going to be a little bit less of a bulldog than what Matt Hart is.
Well, Susan, I mean, we've seen Steve Marshall take money from several of the folks who actually were giving money to Hubbard to try to keep him out of jail.
And let's also not forget that Bentley was under investigation when he took office. I mean, when he was appointed to AG. So, and then came out with kind of a slap on the wrist for his campaign finance violations. Now he's taking money from some very questionable people, even though he denies it. I mean, Josh and I have been over and over these records. There's nowhere else this can be coming from.
Right. I mean, Susan, I mean, it's obvious he took money from Jimmy Rain. I mean, it's got Jimmy Rain's name on it. And there's no bigger supporter of Mike Hubbard than Jimmy Rain. I mean, he's his friend. I understand that.
As we heard at trial, they're such good friends. They're longtime friends. They've been friends forever. But, you know,
Rain's known him since he was a fresh-faced boy.
Well, he was
Yeah,
that
how
fresh boy
fresh-faced.
that got out of that car that day when
Okay.
he first came to Auburn.
Yeah.
And Rain's not dead.
No.
That also helps.
Well, I mean, seriously, you know, this,
Does it?
you know, nothing against Jimmy Rain, but again, this guy's taking money from folks that would like to see the ethics laws twisted back to where they were prior to 2010.
And we still haven't seen Steve Marshall come up with any sort of meaningful ethics reform package. I mean, it's no doubt in anybody's mind that these laws need clarification in a lot of ways. And it'd be different if he were taking money from these people, but also doing the right thing by the people of Alabama with ethics laws. But he's not doing that at all.
I'm tempted to think this guy suffers the same fate as Luther Strange. Nobody trusts him. But that's going to rely on the media telling the facts about this guy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you see that kind of playing out. I think there is some desperation now to his kind of campaign, even though it's early. I think there's still some desperation there in trying to get his name out and trying to convince people that he's not tied to Bentley and some of these other folks.
Well, the lobbyists are behind him. That's the first thing you need to realize that that's probably not a good sign.
Exactly.
I want to switch gears. Kay Ivey announced this week that she is, in fact, running for governor. It went out in a bulk email, I guess, to the media. Some of us didn't get a copy, but, you know, it happens.
A bulk email, always nice.
Always
a
good.
nice way to announce.
Personal touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it usually ends up in people's spam folder.
But listen, Kay Ivey's been doing a good job. There's no reason to think that the people of Alabama want to fire Beth. She's raised $1 million before she even announced.
Right. Well, and, I don't know. I don't know that Kay Ivey has been doing that great of a job. I think she's been doing no harm is kind of...
In Alabama, that's a great job.
Yeah. Right, but I mean, that's not exactly, following Bentley maybe, but, I think we should demand better than, status quo and not messing it up. And I just don't see her coming out with the kind of actual bold ideas and leadership that we need right now. If she can't even hold a press conference to announce she's running for governor, how do we expect her to do the job?
To follow that up just a little bit, I mean, she's right. I mean, because there's a lot of cans she's been kicking here. I mean, just the Michael Sennett stuff, the state superintendent. When you're asked as the governor, do you support the state superintendent? And you go, I don't know. I mean, come on. You got to say something one way or the other, And you're right. She hadn't done a terrible job, but it's a pretty low bar at this point.
Well, let's see. You had Riley.
Yeah.
You had Bentley. And you got Kay Ivey. Susan, she's doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, well,
staying out of jail.
Staying out of jail is good, not
raping,
pillaging, and planting people to rape and pillaging after you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'll take a governor that does no harm. And I have to say, behind the scenes, Clinton Carter over at Finance, they're working hard. Pelham's working hard.
They are.
Their guys are working hard to try to do the right thing. I really believe that. And listen, I've been a terrible critic, but I see some good things happening.
But I got to tell you, this next legislative session is going to be the one that's the decider.
Yeah, that's right.
Whether she's going to
we're hearing, we only got about 20 seconds, but Will Ainsworth has raised $1 million, Josh. Who's going to beat that for light gov?
$1 million for Will Ainsworth for light gov? For light gov?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got to say, though, in this state, you got a 50-50 shot of becoming governor at some point.
That's true. That is true.
Well,
and that's terrifying in its own right.
Well, that's sort of it. You run the first time, and you get elected, you run for re-election, you get indicted. That's just the way it runs. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis.
Lawson's Aesthetics and Med Spa is a one-of-a-kind medical spa offering a portfolio of rejuvenation services and advanced technologies to enable you to feel younger and look fabulous without the need for invasive surgery. Owned and operated by licensed physician Dr. Heather Lawson, the Lawson's Aesthetics and Med Spa offers advanced therapies for women and men to revitalize body and mind. Discover what you and Lawson's Aesthetics and Med Spa can accomplish together. It's your life. Live well, live strong, and live beautiful.
Our criminal justice system, when it goes wrong, can go wrong horrendously.
Should the prosecutors be in jail? Yes, they should be in jail.
That's my body. Well, we know she's lying.
The government spared no resources.
One purpose here, and that was to keep that man from being the governor of the state of Alabama.
No doubt in my mind that Don Siegelman was rogue.
They had to get rid of him because they couldn't beat him fair and square.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Josh, you attended the first meeting of the opioid task force or council, whatever it's called, that Governor Kay Ivey put together. Mostly it was a meet and greet kind of thing, but there were some encouraging things. Of course, we have law enforcement and governors and all these politicos are now realizing there's an opiate crisis, even though it peaked in 2012.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, no,
just in time.
You're right. There were some encouraging things, and I think there are some people in the right spots and in the right positions within law enforcement and enforcement around the state that recognize we've handled the drug situation wrong over the last several years, and that to combat this, they're going to have a little different strategy. And so it was nice to hear that at least so many people are open to doing things a little differently, than what we have in the past. And hopefully that will help aid this so it won't turn into the same thing that crack did, that meth has, and it'll give some people some true help and get them pushed away from those drugs.
I mean, Susan, this has really become a suburban drug. I mean, it really is. You see this as much in the suburbs among women and men that, normally don't become drug addicts.
Right. Well, it's, and I think one of the biggest problems that any of these task forces has is that they don't look at what's the cause. Where is it coming from? Where is this need coming from? Is it chronic pain? How do we deal with that? Is it some sort of mental illness? How do we deal with that? Because if you ever look at any kind of drug addiction, there's always a source. There's always something in the personality. It's just like being a diabetic. There's something you have to replace, whatever that is. And I think if you look at it from that standpoint, you might get a little further if you start there.
I think one of the men with the DA's Association, can't remember his name right offhand, but he said, look, when I started in law enforcement, it was crack, then it became meth, and now it's opioids. He said 10 years it's going to be something else if we don't handle it differently.
Right, and it is, and this has become something that's affecting so many families in our state. I mean, my family personally has been affected by it, and so many other people who come from good families that otherwise, typically wouldn't be affected by drug abuse. And it's one of those things that we have to start looking, like you said, at our men and women coming home from overseas in our military. What are we doing to make sure that they're getting the resources they need to be mentally safe? And then also, we're just criminalizing these things that are coping mechanisms when we start prosecuting, and I'm not saying that drugs shouldn't be criminal in a way, but we start prosecuting and locking people up. Now they've got a record and they're not getting the rehabilitation they need, and it becomes this vicious cycle. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work with crack. It's not working with meth. It's not working with heroin. We've got to find a way to rehabilitate, not punish people. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that is a big problem that you have someone who starts off, they're doing basically prescription drugs, mm-hmm. and then if they get busted for it, then go to prison. With a felony rap, you can't get a job. I mean, it's very mm-hmm. difficult. I think we want to switch gears here. Everyone except for Luther Strange, it appears, has endorsed Roy Moore. Susan,
they have. They're coming out of everywhere. I've lost count of how many different endorsements he's got. And like you said, it's only Luther Strange that hasn't endorsed him so far.
Well, and me and Josh, we hadn't quite thrown our hat in the ring yet.
I'm not really throwing. Actually, you know what? That's not really true. I did say that of the two, that Roy Moore would be my choice.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're gonna send somebody up there, I would rather send the honest guy. I mean, no matter what you think of Roy Moore's views, they haven't changed.
No, no.
He's been the same guy ever since, and he's not a crook, and so that helps.
Well, and to believe that Luther and this stuff, he wants to now do away with the filibuster. He wants to personally come down and be the bucket man to build the wall. I mean, this is not the Luther Strange we've all known for years.
Stop it. I mean, really, stop. You 2 weeks ago, you were telling people, oh, the filibuster's good. Stopped a lot of bad ideas. And now you're, oh, no, that filibuster's got to go. I mean, stop. We know this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Luther is a Mountain Brook Republican. That's what he is. He's
a Washington insider.
That's
Hello,
true.
he knows how D.C. works. He's the original swamp creature. He is a swamp creature. That's what he does.
Yeah. Well, let's say the latest polls show that Roy Moore is just mowing him down. It's just like, he's like grease spot on the highway.
And I haven't heard anybody that's actually supporting Luther Strange, but I got to tell you, Roy Moore's people show up.
Yeah,
it can be the worst day in the world. They will be at the polls.
Well, one group did endorse BCA, right?
Yeah, the BCA, which is not unexpected to be the kind of the swamp guy.
The interesting thing is
That's what they want.
CEO Billy Canary was not mentioned in the press release. We're not sure what that means. We've only got about a minute and a half. I want to commend Dick Brubaker for jumping in once again into a very heated discussion. Senator Dick Brubaker, you reported this week, Josh, has sponsored a bill to allow local schools to name their school whatever they want to name it.
Yeah, and it's a common sense more than it is a pushback necessarily against the monuments bill that kind of protects this stuff. So let's say you have a school that's really old and dilapidated. In order to tear that school down and build a new school, you've got to go get permission from this council now, and you've got to go through all these steps and this whole entire process just to be able to tear down a school and put up a new school there, and it's stupid. There's no reason why local people shouldn't be able to do this, and this was the argument against that ridiculous bill to begin with. It wasn't necessarily an anti-Confederate flag argument that people took against this bill. It was, hey, look, we got a lot of things here that we might need to move or renovate or do something with, and you're kind of hamstringing local government and local people in making these decisions.
So you're saying that if it's the Stonewall Jackson high school and you want to tear it down and build a new school, it's still got to be Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, as Dick Brubaker has donated land for this and you want to name it the Dick Brubaker High School, well, you've got to now convince this group that this is an okay move, and you've got to petition historians to write in and tell people why it's okay for it to happen. It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Maybe we'll just start getting the big black boxes around the schools like we've got around the monument in Birmingham.
That would be so awesome. Just big sheets over the top of everything.
Well, given
that didn't
the
end so well last time.
given the current state of the Board of Education, I wouldn't say that a shroud wouldn't be more appropriate.
Along with the award that goes with it.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. Access to clean, affordable energy continues to be an issue of vital importance in the halls of government and around the kitchen tables across our nation. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
As Miss Alabama 2017, one of my goals is to help our state be the very best it can be. One of the most effective ways to make that happen is by participating in the electoral process. I'm Jessica Proctor, and I want you to obtain a government-issued photo ID that you can use when you vote. Register to vote and join me in making a positive difference for Alabama.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. In Alabama, we have been through bills on immigration that went nowhere. We have seen huge fights over the immigration here that is really fairly small. But this week, former U.S. Senator from Alabama and now the Attorney General announced the end of DACA, that the Dreamer program that allowed young children who were brought here by their parents who entered the states illegally. Beth, we've seen that it's kind of going away, but it's not exactly going away right now. It's got 6 months. But, you know, we've all had experiences with people that have children that came here with their parents. This is the only home they've ever known. Now we're telling them they're going to have to go back to a country that they don't know is their country.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how many 4-year-old children would look at mommy and daddy and say, I'm going to stay right here in Latin America because it's illegal to go to America. So y'all have fun. I'll be here. That's not how it works. And, you know, I think what a lot of people misconstrue about DACA and this program is that these children had to have been brought here before they were 16 feasibly against their will, because you can't have much input at that age. You had to have gotten your high school diploma or GED, be pursuing higher education or have a job. You have to have had a clean criminal record. All of these things have to be completely above board. And I don't know, of the people I hung out with in college, not many of us can say that we've got a completely clean criminal record going forward. So, you know, these are upstanding citizens. They're a big part of our economy. Something like 38% have a credit card even. So they're contributing and they're participating. And I think it's shameful and it's ignorant to say that we're going to turn around and stick them out the door.
Susan, you and I had 3 young Hispanic girls live with us for about a year, and they were delightful. And I have reason to believe they were probably brought here illegally. And they didn't consider Mexico their home, or Guatemala, or any of those places. They considered they were America. It'd be very tough for us if they were still with us to go there and say, you know, guess what, kids? Y'all aren't welcome anymore.
Yeah, it's the most un-American thing that I can possibly think of is to do this. And it's kind of, if you're going to do it. Pushing it down the road 6 months is, you know, basically they're just using this for fanfare.
Well, and Paul Ryan's told them not to worry. I mean, we promised somebody at least
That's reassuring.
Well, of course. I mean, I get it that people are against this. I get it. And I've had my Republican friends who say I'm too soft on immigration. But I know some of these people. And when you look at a person in the eye and you know them, it's hard to tell them, you don't belong here anymore.
Yeah, I've been told I can't use the R word. So I will say that this is...
Which R word? Racism?
Yes, racist.
Yeah, we can't use that word.
Racist. Yeah. Look, it's...
I didn't say you can't use it. I just said not yell it.
It is a deplorable thing that has taken place here with this. And the glee with which one small individual took in doing this was really more deplorable. These people are not, they've come here for the same reason that all of us got here for, because it's a place where you can live out this dream and achieve things. And that's the only reason most of these folks ever arrived here. And they came with their parents and they've contributed to society. They're not a problem. And trying to make them out to be a problem mischaracterizes it to you have to mischaracterize it to such an extent that it's comical. Yeah. And and some of the things that he said, and Jeff Sessions said in that press conference, they were such outright lies. The only reason you lie like that is to cover up your true intentions and your true motives. And, you know, I don't know what they would be, because these people are not a problem, and nobody with the facts and nobody who knows these people ever think that they're a problem.
It's about 800,000 kids that were kids.
Yes.
So they're aged.
Young adults now.
Young adults, they're what, 18 to about 31 or somewhere in there.
Serving in our military.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're
there are a bunch of
basically criminals.
Yes.
Well, you know, the sad thing for these people is they signed up. They registered in good faith, and now they know where to pick them up at. I want to get to another subject here, and this is the death in the daycares. And these are both controversial subjects. We had a bill last year to try to regulate all of these daycares. There was a big pushback from the faith community, so to speak. They didn't want theirs regulated. Josh, a child died in one of these unregulated daycares, and Governor Kay Ivey, you say she hasn't done anything. She's calling for them all to be regulated. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. They should have been regulated. A child dying is exactly what everybody who pushed for this said was going to happen. I believe it was Barry Mattson, the head of prosecution services, said, I really hope we're not back here next year with a named bill named after a child who has died because of this. And that's exactly what's going to happen, and there was a small pushback from a small number of people, and there were a small number of people, Larry Stutz, that blocked this from going forward. How many people has he killed now?
Really?
And so,
Allegedly.
Yeah.
He's worse than Hillary Clinton.
But there have been so many reports of these daycares where one will get shut down for something, so they pop back up with a new name, and it's all under this guise of religious freedom. And I'm sorry, this is not religion. This is a sham. It's stealing people's money it's just terrible. It's fraudulent.
It's something as basic as a background check on someone who was driving the bus, who should never have been behind that wheel to start with.
I mean, I understand why folks of faith do not want the federal government messing with them. I also know folks of faith, myself as one, that do not want them messing with the federal government. I believe that I believe in God and country, but I certainly believe that there should be a separation of church and state. And if you've got, if you're running a business that's making money, then we need to regulate you and tax you and all the other goodness. I think the churches, why don't we tax everybody? I mean, I don't know. How about a Muslim daycare? Will we not regulate a Muslim daycare? Can we not do that?
What we're seeing now, too, is churches are opening restaurants, they're opening gyms, they're opening businesses and charging for it, and then not having to pay taxes because it's a faith-based issue.
Yeah, well, there's no faith-based Starbucks as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Or ATM.
If everyone else are following these laws and these rules, and we've agreed that this is what keeps children safe, why are you not following them?
We have to regulate everybody to make sure that the children, the least among us, are cared for.
Just follow the rules.
All right.
Like everybody else.
We're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.